47,000 airmen killed in the air over Germany. And there were 21,000 who had been shot down, bailed out, survived, and were POWs, and I was one of those. And I'm so glad that it was only from February the 16th, 1945 until the end of the war, about 3 months. And that's one, I'm glad I had the experience, you know, because the Germans were under fire where we landed on the ground, and we landed right in their lines. And if I'd gone maybe a quarter of a mile further, I'd have been in the British lines with General Montgomery and his British Army. Well, this is an exciting story, and I'm so glad that I was there. And I didn't ask for it. I didn't know what I was getting into, and because I was the most surprised person in the world when we had to bail out. And I said to myself as I stepped out of that hatch, I said, "Oh, there won't be any warm bunk tonight." And the first night I spent in Germany, I was in a barn right at the side of the ground, or just right beside the road. And there was loose hay about that high, and I had all my flight gear still on, so I just jumped up on top of that hay and went to sleep. And while I was asleep, I was dreaming I was back in the hills in Utah, and there was a thunderstorm going on. Well, when I woke up, I had never heard it before, but I knew that it was British artillery fire. And so it was so exciting to be, first you're in the air and you get shot down, and then you land right in the middle of a battlefield. They put us in a Jeep. The German soldiers that picked me up, the first thing he said to me was, "Englander?" I said proudly, "American," you know. Or I don't know whether my voice quivered or not, but he was in charge. Because then he said, "Pistol," you know, one know if I had a gun, and no guns. And then I did have a knife, because I figured if I ever landed in the water, I'd be able to cut the shrouds. And so we were going back over this area, and while I was right in the middle of this here big clearing, I heard a noise which I thought was a stick of bombs landing. Went boom, just like that, and I dove onto the ground. And as soon as I was in the air, I realized it was an anti-aircraft fire. They had about 10 or 15 of them in a circle, 200 feet big, and they would fire them simultaneously. And I looked back to see what my guard was doing, and he was on the ground too. and then I had picked up, I got a piece of flak that came through the side of the turret, and it went through my lip and it sheared off my 3 front teeth. They stayed that way for 3 months. I had to keep my lip buttoned down over the top, and I'd hold my tongue underneath it to keep the cold air from getting to it. And now, I want to tell you about the most helpless feeling I ever had in my life. We had gone through their interrogation. We were outfitted with clean clothes and new clothes at a place called Wetzlar. And then we were put in boxcars behind the passenger trains, and we were out in the country traveling south from northern Germany to we were headed for Nuremberg, which is in southern Germany. And on that, we were out in the country, and somebody said, "Here they come." And it was our own fighter planes, P-51s. And they with one burst, they disabled the locomotive, and then they went over the passenger trains and they shot up these 3 boxcars we were in. Now that's the most helpless feeling I've ever had in my life. Because if you hit the ground, hit the deck, you just become a bigger target. And the P-51s, they had 3 50 caliber machine guns in each wing, and terrible firepower when they're concentrated. And I heard somebody holler, "Ow, my leg!" And next time they made it pass, that they had finally all gone, because they saw, instead of those boxcars blowing up, because they would carry ammunition in them, there was so they continued on. And in fact, I was back at Savannah, Georgia one time, and I met a man by the name of Kenneth Scott, and got to talking to him, and he was a P-51 pilot, and he said, "You may not like me, but," he said, "I think that was my outfit that hit that particular train." So every situation I had that was a traumatic, I've looked back at it and tried to make it, you know, if you revisit a situation in your mind, you find out a way to laugh about it. And it's not only a lifesaver, but it's good for the soul. And so I'd like to thank you for coming down and listening to this kook that fought in World War II.